just remember that your brain is wired for predictability, 1, and for attachment, 2. Holidays are loaded with both expectations for both. Needing, wanting, expecting predictable circumstances and traditions, routines. When we don't have that, we start to feel unsafe. And then we, of course, start craving what we did have. But also, the holidays are loaded with this idea of closeness, attachment, families, love, magic, soft, warm lighting, and goodness. Ideas of sugar plums and whatever. In traumatic or ambiguous grief, your brain has had years of wiring that said, this date equals kids here, these sounds, these routines. That's what you equate with the world is right. And when those routines aren't being done, or there's no sign of them coming, there's no planning for them or whatever, your brain starts to go into freak out. I did an episode about this a while back, but like, we become hardwired with routines like the brain does. It starts to develop expectations and rule sets for what happens when. And when that neural map, like your brain's map, does not update for you, like after your kids leave, and you're still expecting them to walk through the door, you're still expecting them to be around for Christmas, or sometimes you still hear noises in the house and you feel like it's them. Your brain may still have those expectations and routines set up in there no matter how long it's been. Like, it's similar to if you've ever had a loved one, here I go again comparing death to alienation, but loved one pass away, someone that lived with you pass away, or animal, a dog, a pet, cat, whatever. And every so often you see like a blur of something and it seems like them walking by, but you know it couldn't be them because they died a year ago or something. Y'all, I still have this with Nita, my pig, Carnita. I still have this. I was out in my yard. I mean, well, first off, I couldn't even go out to my yard. My yard turned to shit. Well, she died. It was 2 years ago in October 26th. And for a full year and a half, I really couldn't go out in my yard for more than 3-5 minutes without bursting into tears because I just always expected her there. Even though she lived inside with me, well, we spent a lot of time outside. But anyway, a few days ago, I was outside and I saw something black right where she used to always hang out. And I thought it was her. And like for a second, my heart leaped. I was like walking over there. Like I started to walk over and I was like, that's not Nita. Nita's not alive. And it had been 2 years. This is actually like making me emotional right now, just thinking about it. Like the idea that she could still be alive. So listen, guys, this was my pig, who, by the way, I loved dearly. But anyway, your brain has been hardwired with all of these different routines and expectations for holidays, for really all the days, depending on, like I said, where you're at in your grief. And it's not a linear process or journey. It's sort of cyclical. So it doesn't matter how long it's been in between. It could just be, there are like pockets. I kind of think of grief hiding in pockets inside of our body, or just in trauma, same way. And sometimes when we shift, when we move, those pockets sort of open up, and at the right moment, when we're already feeling safe, or when we've processed through enough, something else will pop up and be like, okay, we're ready. We feel safe enough to process this now. And so more reminders will come up. The whole point of this is it's not only the emotional part of you that is going through this whole grief. It's actually too your brain. It's like a switchboard up there, like a circuit board that has these expectations wired in. So if some part of you keeps listening for the door, checking your phone, or expecting for the holidays to turn out like they once were, even though it's not rational, in your brain, there may be some sort of low grade, or maybe not even low grade, but disappointment or grief around the fact that the holidays aren't the same as they once were. There's nothing wrong with you, and you are not crazy. This is the evidence or the signs of a loving brain in pain, still looking for the person it's wired to expect. Number 3 is that nobody understands you. You feel like around the holidays, the idea is I'm going to have to go somewhere and have all these reminders that other people have it quote unquote better. And not only that, it's going to amplify this idea that nobody understands what you're going through. Okay, so they have it different, they have it better. I want what they have because I want my kid. It's also going to sort of throw in your face, or it feels like it's being thrown in your face, that there's this huge disconnect because nothing's been ruined in their lives and look at mine. So of course, I'm out on an island and nobody can understand my pain or my experience. It's two-parted. One of them is that you're carrying this disenfranchised grief, this kind of grief that we all as alienated parents experience. When I just made that absolute statement, I think so. The majority of us. I can't really think of an alienated parent who doesn't experience some degree of disenfranchised grief. The people that honestly, genuinely love us and want to know how to relate to us, it's not their fault. It's not intentional, right? But then also there's this idea. So there's like for regular loving relationships of yours, you may experience disenfranchised grief with, so it's sort of like a secondary grief or loss. Like, so you're suffering this loss of your kiddo, even though they're still here on the planet, but then also you're suffering this loss of connection, real connection, genuine connection with those that you really love and once felt connected to with. It is a secondary loss. Also, alienation as a whole can feel really threatening to a lot of other people in general. And so bringing the subject up and talking about your experience can sometimes cause the other people to either want to deny your experience because they're scared either that one, it will happen to them, or two, it threatens their whole belief system about what is right and true of a good parent. And so you may get some pushback or some backlash. This is also a form of disenfranchised grief. Okay? So along with other experiences there, right? Maybe you might feel judged, betrayed, and all the things. In simple terms, disenfranchised grief is real grief that doesn't get recognized, validated, or supported by the people around you, whether that's intentional or unintentional. It's the kind of grief that doesn't get you casseroles, it doesn't get you sympathy cards, and sometimes even gets questioned or minimized. Of course, as you know, our children are alive, but our relationships are blocked, distorted, out of reach, or whatever, and society doesn't really know what to do with that type of loss. It's not up to them to do anything with that type of loss, but they don't know how to support this kind of loss. So you end up navigating birthdays, holidays, school breaks, and even family events, experiencing a level of pain that would make sense if your child had died, but because they haven't, it's like your grief doesn't qualify for the same care. That mismatch can create this awful double layer that I was just kind of referring to. You're already grieving the absence, and then you feel weird or too much for even being as sad as you are. If you want to learn more about disenfranchised grief when it comes to us as alienated parents, I will link the episode that I did last year or the year before on that. It was like the spring of maybe 23. This kind of grief often leads to more isolation, more shame, more self-doubt, and difficulty accessing social or professional support, because there are no clear rituals or rules for us as the grievers. There is no protocol for when a parent gets alienated. But sure as shit, you know that a honey baked ham is coming to the person that lost their spouse or their child. You know that there's the team of, like, the welcome wagon that comes in, the HOA, all of your neighbors that come in, the same thing when somebody passes away. Or I think, is it called Shiva in Judaism? When there's like the 7-day period when somebody dies, right? There's a mourning period. The whole family comes and sits to process, which I think is such a freaking amazing idea, tradition. We don't have any of those for alienated parents. So yeah, disenfranchised, unsupported grief is something that we absolutely experience, especially during the holidays. Because we're going to go over to our own parents' houses or wherever it is that you're going, and they're celebrating everything like it's normal. So it feels Like, though they're experiencing loss, if it's your parents or close family of yours, it's not the same as you, right? And so this whole idea that the world is going on being happy and we are not can feel more isolating and way less supportive around the holidays that you once thought magical. If this is you, if you're dreading the holidays because you feel like you don't have anybody around you that understands or supports what you're going through, just know that, number one, that you are not being dramatic for being in pain, for hurting as much as you are. Okay? There's nothing wrong with where you are. This is grief. I want to help you to not make excuses for it. I also want to help you to not use it as an excuse, but to not make excuses for where you are, really, is the point here. 2, you are not broken for still feeling it, even if it's years later. Okay? I know most of you know this, but really when we're in it, the reminders are always really helpful. Because oftentimes what will happen is we start turning it all internal because we already feel separated and isolated from them. So we want to blame them, and we will sometimes, but then it goes back to us, like we start gaslighting ourselves. We'll be like, well, what's wrong with me? Maybe it's my fault. How come I can't just accept the holiday for what it is and have fun with everybody else that's having fun? I'm going to get into that in a minute. But also, you are not disloyal or ungrateful because the holidays are hard and difficult for you at this moment. And when I just said that, the holidays aren't factual hard, okay, or difficult. It just right now you might be experiencing them that way, and that can be okay if you want to let it be okay. I will tell you, coming off of the episodes of just recent, that resisting whatever you're feeling in the moment is only going to add to the difficulty. Okay? So the absence that you're feeling is a real loss, even if the world doesn't have a card category, which, by the way, would be a freaking fantabulous business idea for one of you out there that is looking to get into something to support alienated parents. Make a greeting card business for alienated parents or for bereavement. Okay, you don't have to just label it just all for, I don't know, you do what you want to do. But I was thinking about this when I was doing this, writing out this outline earlier. I was like, greeting cards for the alienated parent would be, not for the alienating parent, but for the alienated parent would be so, it would just be amazing, life-changing for so many of us, Anyway, but the world doesn't have that yet. We're not there yet. Hopefully, with the awareness that we're bringing out there, that we will have that. Hopefully there won't be a need for it going further, but the more that we bring it out into the open, the more that we support each other, the more support there will be out there, the more normalized it is, right? There's also not a neat label, like a black, white label for what is happening with us. It's very ambiguous. There's lots of context to add into these nice little neat boxes or rules that everybody likes to label things as. So it's not some cut and dry marketable experience that we have. God, nobody wants to market this, but you know what I'm saying. If nobody around you is naming this as grief, it's very easy to start gaslighting yourself, to wonder if you're just being negative or maybe you're just stuck, You make it as it's something that's your fault. But you're not. You're responding like a human to an ongoing, ambiguous, deeply misunderstood loss. Okay? I want to say that again. You are responding like a human with a brain that was designed to behave exactly how yours is to an ongoing, ambiguous, and deeply misunderstood loss and subsequent grief. It makes sense. All of it. If you notice yourself thinking that you should be over this, or that you don't have a right to be this upset, or like everybody else is having fun and you're not, try pausing and saying, of course I feel this way. This is grief. Even if nobody else sees it, I'm going to honor this. It's okay that I feel this way. And it's not that it's self-pity that you're doing that. You don't have to go into self-pity. Self-pity would be like, I feel this way and nobody cares about me. Right, Eeyore? This is just you acknowledging and honoring where you are. That's you finally giving your nervous system the acknowledgement it's probably been starting for, especially coming from disenfranchised grief. Okay, what to do? If you are planning on going to a get-together, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, whenever you're listening to this, birthday dinner, whatever, you're planning on being around people, If you need to give yourself a 5-minute break or a 20-minute break even and go take a walk and have some you time to honor your experience so that you're not projecting that or putting that on everybody else who's not having your experience, do that. But use that time. I want to always say, use that time to support you and lift you up and not pigeonhole you, put you in a box, and make you feel separate and on an island from them. Especially if you're wanting to feel closeness. If you want to feel separate, then fine, do your thing. But the walk, you could actually use that as a way to isolate yourself further or plug into yourself. And therefore, that will equip you to go plug back in with them. Does that make sense? Also, make a ritual for yourself. If you're missing the rituals that you had with your kiddos, then maybe make a ritual, a new ritual for you. Whether that's about your kids or that's just you celebrate you moving forward and how you're going to do things, how you're going to define holidays moving forward, support you, since you're the idea with disenfranchised grief, but there are no methods of support like protocols for what you do, then you'll make those protocols. Okay? All right. The rest of them that I'm going to list right here, 4, 5, and 6, I want to declassify these as the unneeded pressure